Cincinnati Bengals, they played the Seahawks at home off a bye. This was one of those games where, like, you just got to get through this game because I believe the Bengals have the Bills and the 49ers coming up next. So they have a tough stretch coming up here, a couple of tough games coming up. So it's not getting any easier for the Cincinnati Bengals. And I was a little bit worried about them going up against Tyreek Woolen and Devon Witherspoon, especially Pete Carroll off a bye. But I was like, got to go with the Bengals, man, because if you believe in Joey B and they're going to turn it around, get to the playoffs, they have to win this game. Well, it wasn't pretty, but they got it done. Geno Smith in this game had 2 interceptions, no touchdowns. However, he was throwing some beautiful passes in this game. I mean, I feel like Geno Smith is kind of getting the Brock Purdy treatment where he had his good year last year and then no one really talks about the amazing throws that he can make. I mean, some of the absolute dimes Geno Smith was throwing was absolutely spectacular in this game. But overall, tough defensive battle. Bengals were able to get it done at home. What was your biggest takeaway?
My biggest takeaway is the Bengals defense getting it done. Sam Hubbard's been all over the place. And another thing is the Seahawks defense. I think that they're really starting to come into their own, and they kind of struggled out of the gate. They had a lot of young players, and I think they're really trying to maybe not get a Legion of Boom back, but a top 10 defense back in the mix, because last year their defense was pretty inconsistent, but they held the Bengals to 17 points, albeit Joe Burrow didn't have his best game, but he was giving trouble to T. Higgins. He was giving trouble to even Jamar Chase, who we saw have that massive game last week. So I don't know. I can't super shame the Bengals because I think the Seahawks defense has really stepped up, especially seeing a Devon Witherspoon, who's defensive rookie of the year candidate at this point in the season. And then the Seahawks offense, I do think that, Geno Smith takes a slight bit of a step back this year compared to last year. I think there's more tape on him and like kind of how he operates. But that being said, had some beautiful dimes to Tyler Lockett. Tyler Lockett had a great game. And we even saw an appearance of Jake Bobo, the rookie.
So, Jake Bobo.
So interesting game, but good for the Bengals. Now they're 3-3. They're back in the division mix. And if they can rattle off some wins, they'll be right there at the end.
Yeah, and it's like nothing super to write home about the Bengals. Like, we expect this from their defense at this point. Lou Anarumo, we all know he's a perennial. If defensive coordinators could win coach of the year, I mean, he would be in that discussion every single year along with Spags and Jim Schwartz. But as far as the Seahawks defense, I think you hit on a good point where they do have a lot of young talent on that team, and they're trying to figure out where we put Devon Witherspoon and Tyreek Woolen. How do we fit those corners together? And then we have some young linebackers and pass rushers, and it seems like they're really figuring out how to use those young players on defense. And I do believe that this is a defense that's going to be able to give a team like the San Francisco 49ers a lot more trouble than it gave them last year, where maybe Geno did take a step back this year and we know a little bit more of the Seattle Seahawks tendencies. But Pete Carroll, as far as a defensive head coach, is going to get that defense ready to go. And I think if they faced off against a team like the Cowboys today, after what I saw on Monday Night Football versus the Chargers, like, I definitely think they could slow down a team like Dallas, a team like Tampa, or like some of those fringe playoff teams. So I think they should be in the upper echelon of wildcard teams for sure. And I think when they rematch versus the Rams, that was their ugliest loss of the season.
Yeah.
So I feel like they would definitely, with Witherspoon and Woolen, I feel like that will be a great matchup for Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. So this is a team that's going to be able to give you problems in the playoffs, especially if you match up against them. It's like, I feel like no team